Your favorite toy truck nerds are back. Welcome to That Scale RC Show.
Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to episode 117 of That Scale RC Show. I'm one of your hosts, Adam, alongside with Jay and Travis. And how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good.
Glad to be back at it again.
Yeah, I know it's been let's see. I think we did it a week or two after I got back from Axial Fest, and then I don't think we've done an episode since.
We haven't. I mean, we haven't been able to do them at least this time. Like, you know, I was actually looking forward to recording more shows and everything, but it's just that everything else got in the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've been kind of busy the last couple of weeks anyways.
A little bit.
So I'll let you do the honors if you care to tell anybody.
Oh, yeah. No, I moved to Colorado. So I am a little bit outside Denver now. And there's not much more to that.
So we're not all in the same time zone anymore.
Yeah. Mountain time is kind of terrible because what I realized is like there's people that I like interact with on a day-to-day basis, but there's like, you know, Pacific and then East I got to think about. And it's like, oh, it was a lot easier when I just knew everyone was my timer ahead of me. Yep.
Yeah, Mountain's not that bad because it's only an hour ahead. It's not like you were going like 2 or 3 and then now you're having to like figure it all out. It's just, you know, so yeah. But I don't know. Eventually, well, no, I think I don't know. Will we ever line up on it? Because supposedly, well, at least here in California, they keep trying to get rid of daylight savings. So like, eventually, will we like line up on like the same time, or is it still going to be the hour ahead? It just doesn't matter if we do this clocks going back or not.
They're going to figure out a way to tax you for daylight savings time in California.
Oh, I'm sure they'll tax you for that. And then they'll tax you for the time it took to figure out, you know, if it's daylight savings time or not.
Yep.
It's kind of weird. Not to like get on the subject of this, but I was looking at like get a little bit more cursory recently. And I realized that there's places like, I didn't know this, like there's places like Arizona that are just like, we just don't observe it. Yeah. And it's just super weird to me.
So that's pretty funny that you bring that up because I used to talk to Ryan Crowley, one of our longtime listeners, like you know, almost on like a weekly, bi-weekly basis. We'd always like, you know, text or call or say what's up. And he always thought it was crazy. He's like, I just don't understand how you guys do that whole daylight savings thing. He goes, just leave it just the one time the whole way. And I was like I get it. So like prime example, like right now, especially here in California, and I'm sure it's probably the same with UJ in Washington, we're getting to that time where at about 7 to 7:15, the sun's going down. Like there's no more sun. Whereas a month ago, you had daylight till almost 9 o'clock. And it's like, you know, because we know that the season's changing. It's coming into fall. We're going to start, you know, it's going to be ready to change the clocks. Well, the way I look at it is if you don't change the clock, you're going to have those darker times and you're just going to have to get used to it for that period of time. But the whole point was to bump it back so that way you're not having to worry about getting it dark at 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's, you know, it's still getting dark-ish around 6 o'clock. Like, you know, it's still bumping it back as much as you can without changing the time so much. And it just makes it a little bit easier, I guess, for, you know, your every day-to-day working person, because that's always been my problem in construction is like in the summer. That's why I had to start putting alarms on my phone. And I just labeled it quitting time because if I didn't have that, I'd be working. And next thing you know, I'd be getting like a text or a call from Michelle. Are you coming home anytime soon? Are you going to quit? Like it's 6 o'clock. And you're like, oh, it's already 6 o'clock. Like it still feels like it's 4 o'clock. Cause this, you know, it just, it's light out. And then of course, towards the winter, fall, you're like, oh, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock. It's already starting to, you can see the sun starting to go down. You're like, oh, it must be time to quit and go home. So it's like, having that extra, a little bit more daylight helps when you're in that situation. I guess if you're somebody who doesn't rely on the daylight, I guess it's no big deal. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, because it was more of like a adjustment for farmers, if I understood right.
Yeah. But anyways,
it was one of those weird things.
Yeah. So, what else have you guys been up to?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Kind of a lot.
Looks like you're building rally cars over there.
Trying to, yeah.
It ain't much.
Yeah.
So,
rolling the dice and seeing if we can break the Ford mucus.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I know some people were asking about it.
Oh. Yeah,
I guess we don't have to if you don't want to.
No, it just... So Trav's first car was a Ford Focus, and he got a Civic, and this car was paid off, and he wasn't driving it. So we decided to sacrifice it to the rally gods, and we're going to start racing rallycross with it. So I'm heading over to Lind, Washington on Friday morning sometime, and then I've got practice all day Saturday, and then Sunday I'm racing. So be fun. We got 8 entries in the stock stock front wheel drive class. So
killer.
It will be a battle. Blood will be shed.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
So are you going to call, let's see. So you're going to call that, so you have Trail Slayers, is anything that goes off road. So what's that going to be? Track Slayer?
I don't know.
Dirt Slayer?
Actually, since it's Trav's car, we're putting his, eventually the corporate entity that'll own SOR is called Innovix, and that'll be the main sponsor on the car. So actually, SOR isn't going to have a whole lot to do with it, other than the fact that I do the work.
Right.
Yeah, we had a deal. Trav donates a car, and then I do everything else.
Well, it's funny because you've probably doubled the value of that car.
Maybe.
I think you probably have. It's
such a budget build. I want to sit down and total it out for people, because there's always going to be that one dickhead that'll be like, oh, it must be nice, or screwing around instead of getting my order out. Yeah. So it's I'd like to break the price down on it and be yeah, graphics cost a whopping $60, tires and wheels $500. There's nothing invested in this whatsoever.
Yeah. Because I think a question that might be asked is why'd I buy another car with one paid off and everything? And we needed a second car, but I didn't sell the Focus because I can't sell the Focus. We can't get anything for it.
No one wants.
So its blue book value is and it's not in bad shape, but the car itself had such a poor rap that I think blue book was $2,000 maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't much. These cars are notorious for having recalls.
So like I said, it's in a way kind of an investment.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, especially if it ends up being reliable. I mean, that part will be cool.
Yeah, hopefully we're past.
But we'll see. The thing that makes me nervous is driving 4.5 hours and then racing it and having to keep in mind that you're driving it home.
Yeah.
So it's find that nice in between space of hammering on it and taking it easy. So no, but the reason, actually, I guess we should probably talk about the reason why we decided to do this is there's a rally school, and they also do social media, which is, they're a huge social media powerhouse for rally, but Dirtfish Rally School is only an hour away from us, and they have a 4-race winter series up here. And so it's world-class facility that's known by everyone, and it's amazing, and it's an hour away. Got a car that's paid off. what are we doing? Like, why wouldn't you go do this? Because it's so close by. So that's kind of how we got into it. That and motorcycles are dangerous, so this will be way better.
Nice. Well, it's kind of like that saying, like, with age comes cage.
Yeah, I know, right? It's true. I mean, it's like I think about, I don't know. I mean, pretty much from the time I quit racing moto, like I've wanted to either race desert trucks or up until very, very recently, in like the last 2 years, maybe we decided we wanted to start racing rallycross. So I've always wanted to try cars.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I'm really excited to see how Trav does with it.
It was around the same time where I started like doing a lot of karting again.
Yeah.
We started thinking about a lot of that. So bummed that place closed down. Actually, I should see. I have not looked to see if there's anything near me.
Is tracks closed here?
Yeah.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No,
sad.
they went up. Well, they basically were forced to. They tried to sell the business. They couldn't. They weren't able to sell the business because they were going to lose the building it was in, because they jacked the rent up, or they jacked the lease up something like 40%. And they were just like, hey, I'm sorry, we can't afford this. And so I don't know what they're going to do with that spot in Mukilteo.
That's a ballsy move in this climate.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or, the way that things are right now, to hike somebody's rent up and then gamble on whether they're going to stay or tell you to suck it.
I think that probably panned out to be a pretty poor decision on their part. So
yeah, they're probably going to be sitting with an empty building for a while now, because that thing was pretty specific for its use.
And it's also just, it's in one of those spots too where it's just like I don't know what you're going to do with it. But anyways, yeah. Well, so
the whole second level's the little kids go-kart track too.
Yeah.
So it's like even the second story of it is like major renovations if you're going to do anything besides have go-karts.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that was a huge bummer, because the closest one to me after that was in Renton, and it was a K1, and I don't have like the greatest times at K1s.
Well, they're electric too, aren't they?
Yeah, and you think that would be sick, but it's not. They're
probably way more governable than gas ones too. Like I'm sure they can get it, and it's just the same as programming an ESC. I'm sure.
Just because I think the use case and everything, what you do end up with is like a ton of variability with the voltage sag.
Right.
And that's the part where it's like, there's that whole thing when you go karting, like it's kind of lottery, like what yours is going to be like. But you'd think it'd be a lot more consistent, and it's the opposite.
That's crazy, because gas ones pretty much suck, like the entry level ones.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having something more gutless than that. Like those things, if you lose momentum, oh my God, they fall on their face so hard when you try and get on the gas.
That's why you just don't. Like you just have to stay on it
everywhere.
I will say it's unfortunate, the timing, because I had just started doing their next step up ones. They're like 9 horsepower ones, and it really going back to like what the normal kart was after just a couple sessions in that one, and you're just like, man, this is it's like I had no idea what it was really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should look and see if there's something near me though, because I've been wanting to do that.
Saw a bunch of posts from the Block family. They're at the Utah Motorsports campus there, and they're doing some karting championship series. I guess that's something that like all 3 of the kids do to kind of hone their skills, as they do a ton of karting.
That makes sense.
It's working, I guess. So
yeah. Oh yeah, there's like 4 near me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Fun.
Reasonably near me. But it's in Denver. That's cool.
That'd be neat to check out then.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you've got the crawl space there too. So you've got they have a drift track, they've got an indoor crawling track, and then they do all kinds of comps and other events outdoors when it's nice out.
While I'm on maps. See where I'm at.
I think they're Lakewood or something. I don't remember exactly.
Well, there's a couple of crawl spaces.
Yeah, there was two. There was the one that Akaika had, and then had like a franchise deal or some.
Yeah. So North Lakewood.
Yeah.
There's a south?
That's what I thought. I thought there was a crawl space south or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's both, unless one of them closed.
Mine might be. I only see the one up in Lakewood.
The one dude may have just closed down his shop and taken over Akaika's and when he moved.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that could be the situation. I don't know. Should reach out. I don't think that guy's doing any RC stuff. I haven't talked to him in forever. Which sucks. He's a good dude. I enjoy talking to him.
Okay, yeah. So they're a half hour from me. Yeah, they're up in like Northwest Lakewood.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. That'll be fun.
Maybe I'll go out there this week.
You should.
It'll be fun.
This week's almost over. I'm going to have a bunch of orders to get done before I leave. I'm going to have a busy tonight and tomorrow, and tomorrow night's going to be pretty busy. I think I'm going to drive over and I'll probably take like one RC rally car and then a crawler, and probably just leisurely stop and get photos and drive a little bit if something looks cool on the way over there.
Yeah, I don't know what you'll find. I've thought about that exact thing.
Yeah.
And it's just lifeless over there.
Yeah.
I will say on my drive out of here to Denver, or out of there to Denver, I think that might have been my least favorite part.
Is that the pass you went over? I took Moses Lake and stuff.
I got off before that, Ellensburg, and then 97 down.
Gotcha.
To get on 84, which sucks also. But yeah, just the stretch for when you get to just east of Ellensburg, it just feels so much longer than it should. There's just nothing out there.
Like Northern California when we were driving to Axial Fest, how it's just like dead grass rolling hill after hill.
Yeah, basically, but it's also just all yellow.
Yeah. I don't.
I guess though, you might get some good stuff at the Gorge actually.
Yeah, possibly.
That might be worth looking into.
Yeah, we'll see. I figure it can't hurt. I mean, I don't know. It'd be fun to just kind of document like a road trip because I haven't gone anywhere in so long.
There is the water levels. I think, I don't know about now with the rain you guys have been getting, but when I was passing through there through Clay Alum and everything through those lakes where we did the Gatekeeper video, the water level is really low.
Oh, wow.
So there might be a lot exposed down there that we didn't check out.
Nice.
So that might be worth pulling over for too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So Adam, how was the ASD event?
So the ASD was great. It was kind of like, it was bittersweet. I mean, it was one of those events that it's like I've always looked forward to going to because I got to see my buddies, especially after Oscar moved to Arizona. It was always one of those like, you get to see your friends that you don't get to you don't see at a lot of your events, like that are in your, backyard. Like used to see Oscar at like Axial Fest. If there was like a get together or something in Northern California, you'd see him. So once he moved to Arizona, it was kind of like, oh, well, now I only get to see him when he comes out for this event. So that was always, fun to look forward to. But this one had such a, like, trying to think of the right words to say, like, it had such like a bittersweet, vibe around it because it's like, you knew that this was going to be not just a crawl event and not just a crawl event that is for a good cause, but also like a celebration of life, as you would say, for Brandon Tommy, since, he passed away at the beginning of the year. And it did start out, after we opened up with the show and shine, me and Elio hosted the show, or we didn't host, we judged the show and shine as 2 Chain scalers, like came out of retirement. People were going crazy about that because, we haven't done anything 2 Chains in like 4.5 years.
Wow. I can't believe it's been that long.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it was cool. We busted out all the old stuff. Like I had the black, we had the black Dickies button up with the gold CKRC and the big 2 chains on the back. We had our chains out, all the whole 9 yards. We brought everything back out. We did trail swag, and all this stuff. And we started out, judging the show and shine. And then right after that, Oscar took the lead and was, thanking everyone for being there, said his words, for, Brandon, which we all took like a moment of silence for. And at that point, it got really like heavy. Like there was a lot of not dry eyes during that time. Sure. But then we got it, then we got it going and, went out on trail and, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there was 3 trails. We actually hit all 3. I mean, I got to say, this is the first time I've been to an event, and I don't know how long, where I actually hit every trail and I had that much trail time. Normally, It's like you're running around trying to do this, trying to do that, and you're just like, oh, I hit like 1 trail if I'm lucky, So it was kind of crazy to be able to like go out there and spend as much time as we did out on trail. And I also thought it would be kind of cool, since I knew this was going to be the last one and I knew this was going to be, such a special occasion. I was like, let's do something different that like we've never done, is 2 chains, but it fits in our wheelhouse. So I hit up Mark Bentoncourt about a month and a half. Yeah. Like right around Axial Fest. I hit him up and I was like, hey, Mark, I have a good idea, or I have this idea. You can tell me if I'm crazy or not. And I was like, I want to I want you to make some custom, I'll draw them out. I want some custom chain pieces, like 3.5, 4 inches. I said, I want it to be a puzzle piece. I want it to have Brandon Tommy's initials with some wings. And I want it to say AAC 2023. I said, could you just make 2 of them? One for me and Elio. And he's like, yeah, not a problem. So he makes those for us. And when I open up the envelope, or I open up the package, there's a total of 6 in there. And I was like, Mark, we only asked for 2. And he's like, hey, he goes, if I got to cut out the thing out of the material, I said, I just told it to keep going because I didn't want to waste the material. I said, okay, so how much, he's in Mark being Mark, he's like, don't worry about it. And so my big idea was make them into chains. Me and Elio would wear them. We'd wear them, do our thing at the event, and then hand our pieces to Oscar and Juliana, Brandon's wife. And so that's what we ended up doing. And I think that took both of them by surprise because they had no clue we were going to do that. Like never once did I say, hey, we have something special for you. We're going to do this for you. Like we just walked up about almost halfway through the event and, took over the mic and said, hey, Oscar, Juliana, can we get you guys over here? Cause we have something for you. And it was cool. And, I know Brandon would have loved that because Brandon, he loved our trail swag stuff. Like he loved that we gave that out. Like his goal was to collect every single one we've ever done. And if I'm not mistaken, he's probably one of the few, if not the only person who's ever collected all of our trail swag. So, wow. Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. So they were both stoked. And then we ended up giving out the other, so what we did was I kept one for myself. Elio kept one for himself. So we had 2 more to give out. So we gave the other 2 out. And yeah, so it was, it was good times. And then it got kind of crazy. We're out on trail and we're just about ready. We just got back for lunch and we're like sitting there and it's getting dark. And we're like, is it going to rain? Like, I mean, it's getting dark. And all of a sudden we're just chilling underneath the pop-up, and you start hearing like the slow drops, like just and we're like, oh shit, it's raining. Like it's starting to rain. Well, rain turned into hail, and we had 2 waves of hail. The first wave, they were like the size of like airsoft pellets. Like they weren't that big, but you know, it was hail nonetheless. Then the second time, they were like the size of marbles. So they were getting bigger, and we were like, holy crap. Like, I mean, it was crazy. So we had the hail. And then after that, we hit the last trail, and the rain and the hail and everything kind of really made that last trail we did. It was like nothing but rocks and moss. Made that one a lot of fun because you were sliding all over the place. So the lines were definitely more challenging. But yeah, so that was it. And then they had the raffle and everything. So it was a great time. It's sad to see it go to an end, but I mean, reflecting back on like, you know, all the events I've been to, it's crazy to see 2 events that I've been to since the beginning and seen the final one. Like, it's just like blows my mind. Like, cause it's like,
this and Crawl for a Cure are gone, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at the very first Crawl for a Cure. I was the very last Crawl for the Cure. I was the very first AAC, and I was at the very last AAC. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. And the funny thing was too, like I was talking, like I was showing that to Oscar. So underneath my 2 Chainz get up, I wore my original 2016 AAC #1 event shirt, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, I don't think there's anybody else here wearing the original shirt. And I said, well, I had to represent.
Wow.
And there's no more By the Fire either. Like, man, that's 3 big events that are done.
Well, so that's the thing. I've heard from multiple people that this was the last Pro Line By the Fire, but the difference between this and the Autism Awareness Crawl is there's been no real announcement from Proline that I've seen. I mean, these are just from people within the industry that talk or have connections in the industry, and they're like, yeah, I heard this is the last one. So, which kind of sucks because I've never made it down to a Pro Line By the Fire, and I've always wanted to experience it at least like once. So, I mean, I don't know. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with that one, but yeah, Crawl for the Cure or Autism Awareness Crawl. This one was definitely a fun one for the books. And speaking of like car wise, I ran my recently converted Capra for the first time, and definitely got to break in those tires more. Those boggers are still a little slippery and soft.
I was surprised you chose those.
So when I decided, well, because I knew I was doing the quad body, I was like, okay, it's a square body Chevy. I gotta go with a tire. Like I've always wanted to go with like a tire, like a bogger or something that's just like radical. That looks good with a square body. And I'm like, I've never ran boggers before. I'd like to run the boggers. I didn't want to run the Proline boggers because they're ginormous. So yeah. I'm like, all right. So I got the RC 4-wheel drive, which with that body still looked huge. And then I hit up Greg with CNC Wheels and begged him to make me a set of 8-lug wheels. So I have those polished Alcoa style 8-lug wheels with the boggers. And I just think it sets off the build. Like I just think it like looks really cool. And
that's rad.
So, but those tires, they do need to be broken in. They're still very, very like slippery. So like there was a couple like obstacles where it's like you start going up and you're like 3/4 of the way there, and then all of a sudden the tires just break free, and then you can't give it more speed because it just makes it worse and you slide down. So it's like it was like definitely challenging in some areas. But I figured a couple more events and those tires will be broken in. But the other thing, because I don't know if I mentioned this on our last episode, but my Pro, I guess I was in such a rush, like it was that pre-Axial Fest rush to hurry up and get the car done, that I didn't program it properly, and I guess I missed the box for the drag brake. I thought I had it set, but I guess maybe I didn't actually do the drop down. And because when I plugged it back in before the autism awareness crawl, it said that there was 0 drag brake. It said my brake was set to 50%, but there was 0 drag brake. And I'm like, well, I know that's the problem. So I set it to 70, and I was like, all right, this is enough for me to test it. And now with the drag brake, being able to actually drive it and not worry about the thing rolling all over the place, it is insane how well that car performs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. Like, I was crawling things with that, and I just couldn't believe it. And I know it's a mixture of a lot of things, because I've that's the first time I've tried 3D inserts for the wheels or the tires. That's the first time I went with an actual quote unquote comp tire, and I went with the trenchers. So, I mean, the thing, it's just crazy. So I'm really impressed with that car.
Nice.
So yeah. So that was that.
Great.
Well, thank you. That was that event in a nutshell. I still actually haven't even washed either one. I didn't take the capper out after it rained, so that one's like not as dirty. But the Pro is like hammered in mud.
Oh, really?
So I still gotta clean that, but yeah. So yeah, so that's that in a nutshell.
Cleaning rigs is tedious.
It is, but what I like about being a part of the Cal factory team is it gives me an opportunity to get some decent content. So that's why I don't just hurry up and go home and just, all right, spray it off and put it away. I'm like, I want to make sure I photograph this and, do justice with the products.
Right.
Which actually, I got to look, because I don't want to open my mouth if it hasn't been released to the. Oh, it's been released to the public, so I can say it. So, KRC just recently released the Mood Clean tire wash.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely one thing I want to get, because it's different than the actual the Mood Clean parts and chassis wash. So because a lot of people use the parts and chassis wash on their tires, and it does do a good job, but supposedly this is even better. So
really,
yep. So can't wait to get a bottle and then test it out.
That'd be nice. Tires are one of the hardest things to clean. That's always the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean, and everybody uses different methods. I used to be a simple green guy. I used to use simple green on everything. But once I got with KRC, I was like, I'm going to use something that's more designed for that. And I know there's a lot of naysayers that are like, oh, who cares? It's wash is wash. But if you actually ever use simple green on certain products, and you actually ever see what simple green does to it, even though it's biodegradable, that stuff's pretty gnarly.
I can't get past the smell. That's why I don't use it. The smell just turns my stomach.
Yeah, and there's some people that don't like that smell.
Yeah, it's way gross. I use for almost everything. I use Mr. Clean antibacterial cleaner. It's a really bright yellow, and it has a citrus scent to it. That's what my old roommate was, a mechanic at Honda, and they would wash all of their bikes and stuff. Honda has their own line of cleaning products and stuff, but it was kind of funny. They actually didn't use any of them. They used Mr. Clean and put it in the Honda bottles, and that's what they would use to wash their bikes down in between motos and stuff. So it's kind of funny that household cleaners sometimes kick ass over other stuff.
Oh yeah, well, and then that's I know there were some people that always said that the Mood Clean parts and chassis was just simple green diluted, and I said there's no way, because it doesn't even smell remotely close to simple green. There's
you would know it if it was simple. Yeah. There would be no question whatsoever. Yeah, that stuff's terrible.
But okay, so prime example, I use simple green when I'm washing my real truck, and I use it on the tires. If you actually ever see what it does to the rubber after you sprayed it, your tires go from being a black to like a chalky brown. Like it takes like whatever the outer layer of like the rubber, and it just like eats away at whatever like is on there, and it leaves it like this nasty chalky gray brown. And you're like, okay, now I got to spend work and get rid of that look because that stuff drives me nuts. And you know, and I hate putting tire dressing on my trucks just because you drive down the road, it flings everywhere. Plus I hate that wet. I hate that wet look. So it's just like, yeah, but I mean, that stuff, like I said, and that's what it does to that rubber. You can imagine what it's doing to your, you know, electronics and shit.
Well, you know what's really weird is I haven't changed like my cleaning methods in quite a while, but like as I've had cars sitting on the shelf over time, almost all of my Proline tires have turned blue.
Really?
Yeah, and the only thing I ever clean them with is Mr. Clean.
Yeah,
and it was forever. I mean, like my tires have looked great for a really, really long time. And then just like within about the past year, it must be a age thing or something, because some of my Element tires, some of the general grabbers they have are dry rotting and cracking. And then all of my Proline ones are turning blue.
Yeah, it's like that blue gray
powdery color. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super frustrating.
So it's funny that you say that, because I was trying to hurry up and get the capper ready for AAC, and those wheels with the stock hexes just hit my portal boxes. So I was like, I need a little more spaced out. So my old ways was always use the Traxxas, the gray snap-on, you know, wheel hex, because it's a little wider. It's like a 12 millimeter instead of the 8 millimeter or whatever the other one is. So I was like, okay. And I found 2 of them in my box. I'm like, fuck, I need 2 more. So I ordered 2 more, and I was hoping that they'd show up. Well, the problem was, because the Capra, just like the 10.3, utilizes the through bolt axle pin, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, instead of putting
that's how the Rift is.
Yeah. So
that's
instead of
sick, actually. Like, that's super cool.
No, it's super cool, but the problem is I couldn't run, like, I needed the little pin to make the hexes work. So I was like, okay, what rigs do I have that still have the pin, like, that I could steal it from? So I'm like, okay, what about this? And like, I was going through like all my rigs, so I happened to grab my deadbolt, and the same thing you're saying, I pulled it down, and my KM3s were like that chalky gray. I haven't run that car in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like that chalky blue gray. And I was like, ooh, I might have to actually do some maintenance to this.
I put some Armor All on a rag and cleaned the tires like the day before I went and did that big crazy trail run with my friend Jared, where we took the Night Runners, the 2 Tacomas. I had used some Armor All on the sidewalls of the tires on that, and it actually knocked some of that blue gray color down a little bit, but I mean, others, it's still sitting there. Then I made the mistake of putting some ceramic wipe stuff that I have for like plastic trim on cars. I made the mistake of using that on the tires on my moon buggy. Oh my God. It looks like they've been spray painted with a clear coat, and it's all like cracking off and stuff. It looks so bad. So moral of the story is, don't use any of the ceramic auto trim wipes on your tires, because it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it looks like clear coat.
But yeah.
You know what I do when I'm in those situations, like what you were talking about with those wheels not fitting? I have like a little box of really thin washers, and when I have some sort of a clearance issue, I'll just stick like a washer on the axle. And I always look to make sure, you know, that there's enough of the hex that's biting into the hex on the wheel. But I usually, like, for really thin stuff like that, rather than changing hubs and stuff, and some wheels you can't change hubs on, obviously, but I usually just stack a couple thin washers, and that's enough to give me some clearance.
So it's funny you say that, because that's actually what I did. Is I took the hexes that I had and I put them in the front, and then I said, you know what, I'm just gonna stack a couple thin washers in the back, and I'll just like bump it out, because that way it's still drivable,
Right.
in case those other hexes didn't show up in time. And they showed up in time. They showed up Friday. So I got home from work and just immediately swapped them on real quick and was ready to load them up and hit the road.
Nice.
But yeah, because like, and which is, I was telling Michelle, I said, see, this is the one thing that's my big gripe about this, about not having a local hobby shop anymore. Because I said, you know how many times I was so spoiled? I'm like, oh crap, I need some of these. I just run right over to J&M. It's 10 minutes away from the house. Boom, I got what I need. Back, cars put together, ready to go. You know, so it's like, when you lose your local hobby shop, you start to like really feel it when you need those quick little runs, and you're just like, oh, there's nothing nearby. So that's why I just said, all right, Amazon says it'll be here, you know, in 2 days. That's Friday. I am leaving Friday. Hopefully it just shows up before I leave.
Yeah.
So, but yep. Yeah. So that's really about it. That Capra, converting it to a hard body, that was pretty fun too. That was, well, it was just, it wasn't really difficult. It's just, I took a different approach. Cause like, if you guys, I don't know if you remember, do you remember my primer gray clod body?
Vaguely. Yeah.
I sold it to John Holmes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, about 2 years ago, I sold it because I wanted to get, the SCX6, and I was just like, I just really don't have the extra cash right now to just drop on a rig, especially a 6. So I was like, I need to sell some shit and make some money. So I sold that, the bomber, and I think a couple bodies or some miscellaneous crap, and that's how I got the 6. And when I did that, that was my very first attempt at a hard body. I've never messed with a hard body before, so it's like, if you're familiar with the Tamiya clod body, it's got that ridge on the center of the hood. And then also it's got the cutout for the blower, and it's got a sunroof and, you know, all that crap. So when I pinched it, I was like, oh, it's going to be so much easier if I just make everything smooth. So I just sanded down the ridge. I just filled in the hood. I just didn't even care. Like, I just, like, you know, Bondo was my friend. I just fucking, you know, slapped it everywhere. And mind you, that was like going on like 8-9 years ago. So fast forward to this build, I'm like, I'm going to do this one a little different. So I took my time, did the filling of the blower better. I actually repaired where that ridge goes. So the ridge is all there. So it looks like it's supposed to. Filled the sunroof a lot better, so you didn't see the patch job. And then the thing that was tricky about this one was when I pinched the bed, well, I knew running that body to get it to sit right or even look somewhat right, I was like, I can't have that body or the bed that long. It hangs almost 2 inches. Yeah, about almost 2 inches off the back of the Capra. Like, I was like, that defeats the whole purpose of the Capra. Capra is supposed to be a crawling machine. You can't have like a hang up on the back. So right. I ended up bobbing the bed in 2 spots. I took a 1/2 inch off from the part of like where the bed met the cab. I took about a 1/2 inch off there, and then I took off whatever the remaining was. I want to say it was about almost 3/4 of an inch, I want to say, from behind the fender well to the taillight. And then I glued the taillight back on, so that way it looked like the end of a bed. And then I used the actual bed portion of the rig, and I used that after I pinched everything and knew where I wanted it. I traced it, and I used the inside of the drop bed to kind of glue everything back together. So that's all like, it's all one piece now. Like that whole body it's all back to one piece. So
I do a hard body sometime. I've only done like 2, and it was years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun. Like, it was bringing back a different like aspect. And then of course the other thing too was, because I knew it was going to be like, and that's the weird thing about this Capra build, is it's like, it's scale, but it's not, because it's like, you know, that it's like not scale because it's a Capra, but it kind of has a scale-esque like feeling to it, because you went with a hard body and you're you know, trying to make it look semi real. So, yeah, it was just fun to like put a little more effort into this body, and it worked out. But where I cut the corners was, instead of doing an interior, because I knew this wasn't going to be a scaler, I ended up going on Crawlspace's website because they were like the only ones that I could find that had the quad body glass, the windshield and the side windows. They were like the only ones that had it, and it was the tinted one, which was fine for me because then it hides all the electronics and everything. But they were like the only ones that had them in stock.
Oh wow!
So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
There's been a lot of Tamiya stuff, or Tamiya, however you say it, that's been out of stock lately, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Not really sure why either.
I have no idea.
Like is it the YJ or the TJ? They have a 2-door Jeep that they've had it forever, and it's really, really popular. But I've been waiting for those to come back in stock for such a long time now.
Yeah.
Very popular, I guess. Well, what do we want to do? Move on to releases?
Yeah, we can move on to releases. And then I think we have a few questions.
Yeah.
And then we got to talk about our giveaway too.
Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot. Because I don't think the Vanquish Fordyce had come out since our last episode either. So we have that one to add to the list too.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I guess we can start there. Vanquish came out with a more budget-friendly RTR called the Fordyce, and named after a really famous trail near Cisco for all the people that used to go to Axial Fest and get to check out that trail. It's kind of fun.
Fun fact that Cisco is actually one of the parking lots or staging areas for the Fordyce Trail.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy because the last time I was at Axial Fest, there was a couple U4 rigs and stuff out in the parking lot where they stage at and stuff. And I was surprised that I never saw them like at the event. Like Randy Slauson was there with his bomber, and he didn't even show up until like when we were packing stuff up leaving. He just cruised over to see what was going on and everything. So that was kind of neat seeing that rig in real life. But yeah, like there's some pretty serious wheelers that you can catch in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's the Fordyce. Red Cat came out with a couple crazy new things. They've got an LCG rig and a trailer and a really cool hauler. So we can talk about those too.
Yeah, dude, that hauler, like if you could get just that cab, dude, that reminds me of the movie Jeepers Creepers.
I don't think I ever saw that.
You've never seen that?
No.
Oh, that movie's gnarly. So the guy drives, I don't even know what it is. I could probably look it up right now, but he drives the whatever you want to call it, the demon animal beast thing that is Jeepers Creepers. He drives this gnarly looking thing, and it's yeah, let me see. Is
that the one with all the bees? Like on the front of the box? That must have been Candyman or something then.
Yeah. So it's
actually horror movies.
So it's actually called a 1941 Chevy COE cab over engine, and it came with a flatbed frame. So that's what they use in this. Here, I'll send it in the group, but that's the vehicle that's in Jeepers Creepers, and this hauler just I swear it's the same freaking cab.
Weird, huh? Yeah, that hauler too, that Red Cat one, it has shock towers on it that you can connect to servos, and you can get that thing to slam to the ground for loading and unloading stuff, and just looking tough in general. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. That was something I didn't even notice until like a day or two after the release came out. I saw a couple body off pictures. We're like, whoa, no way. They really pulled out all the stops on that thing. The trailer's sick. I really, really want the trailer. That's probably the best trailer, like RC trailer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty sick.
Yeah, the trailer's dope. Their LCG rigs are kind of crazy too. Those are really, really interesting. A very similar drivetrain to the SDX 10 Pro, with having the spur gear up front and then the motor mid, and then having a really small drive shaft that connects it to the spur, to the output. Yeah, super, super interesting design. Have you seen that, the Ascent with the body off, Adam?
No, I can't say I have.
Should look that up because there's probably a lot to talk about there.
Okay. There's also, it just reminded me when I was sending you the picture of the Jeepers Creepers truck. It's in our messenger chat.
Oh, okay.
There's one other thing, and I don't know if I should just throw it in now, because it had to do with the autism awareness crawl.
Oh,
I think I told you, and I can send you this as well. So it was crazy. We stopped for lunch, and I was talking to Tony Mazza, and he's like, dude, you want to see like the gnarliest picture? And I'm like, sure. What's it? He's like, dude, this thing's crazy. And I'm like, all right. So he shows me this picture, and he's like, what do you notice in this picture? And it's a picture of all of the ASD crew that helps make ASD, the autism awareness crawl happen. Like Tony's in it, Oscar's wife, Brandon's wife, Eric, Jeff, like everyone's in there, right? Out of the clouds is this beam of light, and it lands like right next to where they're taking the picture. It's in the picture. They're like, that's Brandon.
Wow.
It's gnarly.
Wow.
Huh. That's pretty crazy. His wife was there, huh?
Yep.
Boy, I bet that was extra hard.
Yeah, I just sent. Yeah, so I sent the picture in the messenger chat too. So.
Yeah, that thing looks crazy.
Yeah, but it reminds me of the hauler.
You should build that.
I could.
Oh yeah, I see that little light beam coming out. That's pretty cool.
So,
man, what a beautiful looking spot.
Oh yeah. Well, so the crazy thing is, that California, we've got so much rain this year that the water actually came up like quite a bit. Like, did you see any of the footage of Schultz and all them doing the running the cars?
Yeah, that was great.
So last year, I should go find photos of last year. Last year, you could crawl in that spot. Like there was no water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I am not brave enough to try and launch stuff across water, but that was pretty wild seeing that happen.
If I had my Slash or if I had the Rift with me, I'd do it. I know both those cars are making no problem. But
I sold my Rift actually.
Yeah, I think my Rift's going on the chopping block too.
They're cool, but I just don't drive it, and it's freaking huge for the places that we crawl at. Like it just.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I was having too. It's huge, but honest to God, I haven't run it since Axial Fest at Donner.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I entered it in the rock bouncing competition, and that was the last time I drove it.
Wow, they are really, really fun. I mean, it's a great rig. Like Randall did a really good job on it. It's a lot of fun.
And then I have two other things, but I'm gonna wait till the end, and we'll talk about that because it's like a kind of, I don't know, self promotion, I guess you can say.
Ew. Kidding. Sorry.
Okay, well, it's RC related. It's not like I'm selling my feet pictures or anything.
I haven't had to resort to that yet, but it's still a possibility. There may or may not be an OnlyFans at some point with my feet to support our racing.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Oh, okay. So much for that. So we got the Red Cat releases. Did you look at the picture of that thing yet so we can talk about it?
That's what I was just about to do.
God damn it.
Yeah, I was talking.
I know. Curious to see what you have to say about it since you have the Pro.
It was the Ascend.
Ascent, yeah. Which is weird. They'd choose a name that's close to Ascender, but that's discontinued, so I guess it really doesn't matter anymore.
So and why in the world can I not find just the? Trying to find a picture without the body.
Did they not have them on name main? They may not. That's pretty new still. Ascent. Let's see, where is it? Huh. Maybe they don't have it.
That's what I was saying. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on name main yet. Might have to look it up on there.
Guess it's secret.
Yeah, doesn't exist if it's not on name main. They have a lot of bashers.
Who does?
Red Cat,
Oh yeah.
like a ton of monster truck bashers. So many.
Trying to see. There's some shots where you can kind of see the C channel.
On the Ascent.
Yeah, on Red Cat's website.
That's what I was resorting to right now. Is I'm on their website
Trying
looking,
to sort of look between it all.
but there's no picture of it with it like not on.
Yeah.
Weird. Where did I see that then? That is so weird that they wouldn't have body off pictures. Oh, the beds are separate. That's pretty cool. The bed comes off.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, there it
Yeah,
is. It's in their promo materials thing. You have to scroll down really far on their listing page.
Yeah, I'm still like.
Yeah, there's the body. Okay. Or yeah, I can see the chassis now.
Yeah, so there's one with the body lifted up. It like looks like it's hinged from the back.
Yeah, there's one right underneath that with no body at all.
Take it back. Hinged from the front.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like they used like the Rock Pirate style shock towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flat plate.
They got the very interesting, like their links, at least the front. They got interesting bends. They don't look really like smooth. Like, you know how like the Vanquish and like even the Axie ones are they're very smooth when they do the bends. These look like very like sharp. Like,
It kind of looks. Oh, I see.
but I do got to say, they, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but it's like, and I probably hate comparing it this way, but it's almost like saying it's the Wish version of the Pro.
That's so mean.
Kind of. I know what you mean.
It's
like,
very, very similar in some areas.
It's very that. Like I said, I'm not trying to be.
What I know about the drivetrain on it though, like it looks it's the same type of like.
It's very, very comparable to the Pro.
Yeah.
It's probably a really good truck. It looks like they built the links upside down though. The bottom links should be high clearance and they have the bend going the wrong way.
Well, no, they're not. They're not. It's kind of weird when you look at the picture, but they're not bent like that. They're bent like.
Oh, inwards.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, like on my monster truck, kind of. But
yeah, but I had this. Yeah, because I had the same thought that you did, where I'm just like, did they just install them wrong?
Yeah, that's what it looked like at first.
Like I said, I'm not trying to be mean. It looks like a performer. It looks like a good car. I'm just saying it's like, it's very, Pro-esque, being the fact that I know what the Pro looks like without the body on it.
Yeah.
It's got the same style, but then again, there's a lot of people that said that Axial straight up ripped off the Vanquish transmission.
There's, I guess, a decent argument to be made about that when you start getting into the competition level stuff like this, you eventually get to a point where it's like, okay, but how different can they even really look?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think this looks different enough.
It does. It definitely does. And the other differences too is they kept portal axles, which I've started to notice. There's a handful of people popping up on the Pro page that are doing that now. They're buying the portals and they're throwing it underneath their Pro. Because that was my first thing I was going to look at. I was like, oh, do they like do straight axles with metal in them to keep them all heavy like the Pro does? But nope.
I wonder if this truck's going to catch on. It makes me wonder if we'd be wise to make our own shock towers for these that have some sort of traditional body mounts so that you can throw a Proline cliffhanger or whatever you want on this, because otherwise you're left to engineer some sort of mounting solution yourself, because this is pretty specific to
all
their
you'd have
body.
to, I mean, kind of. I guess all you'd have to do is, at least in the front, just a new body post.
And then the rear probably too, because not everything has the bed that's going to line up with the mounts being behind the shock towers.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I also do got to say that the placement of where they have everything is kind of like, it's pretty nice. Like they got the servo mounted next to the ESC up front. Like they have that all tucked away. So you're forced to put your battery in the back, which gives it a little, more weight down
Looks
low.
like you could use little ones though on the sides.
Yeah, that's how the Pro is. This is actually almost more like, I almost wouldn't say this is like, and that's why I said I feel mean saying that. I wouldn't say this is in like the same category as the Pro. Like it's got some Pro-esque, like, like layout, but it's almost like the VS 410 Origin or the Pro. The whatever one has this style transmission in it, where it's still kind of like a.
They have one that's like this?
Yeah.
Because I've seen the VFD, the original one, and not very much
it's
like this. The new one is this one.
Vanquish VS Pro 410 Pro. So if you go to the 410 Pro and you look at that one with no body on it, it's a very similar style setup. Except for they have all like the interior crap, but maybe it's not the Pro. One of the Vanquish ones has a
I've never seen it. Because their newest one's crazy, and it's got like the overdrive and shift servos and stuff. And then the one before that had the motor kind of underneath the transmission.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's the VFD. That one doesn't have the separate spur and stuff like the others. Like it's quite a bit different, I think, than the Red Cat one. It's more all it that one looks a lot more like Element's transmission.
Oh no. So the Pro does have the VFD. The Pro comes with the VFD.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at that one.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So like the Pro isn't really like a comp rig. It's just they changed a couple things to make it more of a performance-based trail rig.
Right. Which supposedly makes a big difference. Ty said that the VS410s crawl wonderful.
Yeah.
I really like their Falcon tires that they did. It looks so good. What do you think that Fordyce is supposed to be? Kind of Willys inspired?
Let me pull it up again.
There's like a Willys look to it to me. Willys pickup, the grill at least.
Yeah. Willys. Yeah, Willys / yeah, it's definitely more of a Willys.
I like it. I mean, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I like that it doesn't have portals too.
which is nice because it's like we hit that phase where everybody was doing portals. It's like when Traxxas came out, it's like all of a sudden everybody's like portals. We gotta have portals, like, and it's just like
They're not all they're cracked up to be.
they have their time and place for it.
Yeah. Most things, though, you can drive around needing them because you just change your line selection. I mean, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I was like, damn, I wish I had portals right now. You know what I mean? Like, I usually just drive around whatever, not like drive physically around. I mean, drive around as in deal with, whatever's in front of me.
Yeah. I mean, okay, like prime example. So I technically drove the two most like performance based, axial rigs to date. I drove the Capra, and then I drove the Pro. And I mean, there wasn't a time where I was like in the Pro going, oh, I wish I had portals right now. I'd just make it right over that.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like it's not something you think about when you're like on the trail driving along,
Exactly. So, and then in the Capra, I wasn't like, oh, I'm glad I have portals. I just made it over that. It's like, the only time I could ever see that really becoming an issue is typically like when you're driving to and from the trail, because it's like when you're like just cruising and you're not really looking, like in the Pro, if you have like a little sticker or a rock or something sticking up, yeah, you can nail it with the axle. Whereas with the Capra or anything with portals, it's a little higher, so you could just kind of cruise over everything. But when you're actually in the rocks crawling and you're doing lines, like it doesn't really become a factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we've got both of those releases, the Red Cat and the Vanquish, they're pretty nice. And and then what's the rig the Element just dropped?
We got two. We have the Zool, which is an older style FJ looking, Ecto-esque truck. Trailing arm, solid axle front. They have the three latest releases that they have all have licensed KC lights on them now, so that's something that's new. Both of them have the two newest trucks, not the green Bushido, but the Zool and the Nightwalker. Both of those have the new 4.19 1.9 inch general grabbers, the ATX, I believe they're all terrain tire. So that's cool. So we've got another class 1 tire that hit the market that actually has a pretty decent tread pattern and stuff on it. I like the 1.55 version that they have. I think that's actually a really good tire. So I'm kind of excited to try the 4.19s. But yeah, they got those. The Nightwalker is kind of a pre-runner, very much a pre-runner looking body, only it's on a regular chassis with solid axles and no trailing arms. So it's more just kind of like a Toyota Tacoma-ish wheeler, but it's got the body on it has fenders that are flared out like pre-runners and trophy trucks have to accommodate bigger tires. So that's something to look really good. One of those bodies would look really awesome on our Night Runner pre-runner that we have. That would be pretty sweet. So
yeah.
And it came with a bunch of injected molded versions of James Knight's parts, like the headlight buckets, the tail lights, the taillight diffusers, the light bar, bunch of really cool stuff. So get injection molded versions of those. So it's pretty neat.
Speaking of which, James, I talked to James for a little bit at AAC.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just crazy. Like, he's like, the last time I saw you was at Axial Fest at Cisco, and I'm like, it's been that long?
Yeah, it's been 4 years. He hasn't been back to the US in like 4 years. It's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
That's a long time. It doesn't seem like he's been gone that long.
But yeah, crazy. But yeah, he had his full display, and it was funny because Michelle's dad had no clue what the hell he was, like what his display was. So like he finally, like, we're like driving back to the house, and he's like, I didn't understand, what was all that clear stuff? And I'm like, those are clear bodies to show off what his 3D prints. And he had all the different platforms. He had an Element, an Axial, a Vanquish, and I think a Red Cat or Traxxas, one of them.
They look really good, huh? All of his parts are white on the clear bodies, and then he's got stands with the little QR code that you can scan that'll jump to all the parts for each particular body that has a QR code next to it. Probably one of the best product displays I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just looked super, super good. Boy, that would have been crazy having to ship all that stuff over and then fly here.
Yeah.
Like coordinate picking it up, having it shipped to somebody's house, and that's an ordeal.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I just did. God.
Well, you don't have to get all mean.
Jesus. What else? I feel like we're missing a release. I'm sure Traxxas is a lifted version of something that they just came out with.
Proline and their 1.9 Trepidors.
Yeah, that's rad. That's a great idea. Those are cool tires. Those look really nice.
Well, yeah, they've always looked really good. And the thing that's crazy is, like, I first had the Trepidors on my Wraith, the Axial version, and then I've run the Axial version of the 1.9 Treps on my Capra when it was still an actual Capra. And then, but it's just Axial's compound is not as great as Proline. So now that Proline has it, they should be really good tires.
Well, Axial was weird. So like the RTR tires were one compound, and then the tires by themselves were a different compound. You actually couldn't buy the firmer RTR compound. You could only buy the R35 or whatever they called it.
Yeah, it's the R35.
Which I always thought was kind of strange. But I mean, I always liked their R35 compound. And I mean, I like the Proline G8 compound too. Just the harder tires seem to still work really, really well here once they break in. But the Treps are going to be rad. I'm really excited to try those.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't do that first. But then again, I mean, like all the 24 scale stuff is so popular right now anyways, though.
Oh, tell me about it.
And what, they came out with ones for the SCX6 before they did the 1.9.
Yes, they came out with the ones for the 6. Then I think they came out with the ones for the 1.9, and then they came out with the 1.9s. So it was like, yeah, it was getting kind of like frustrating for a while because you're like, they keep teasing them and you're like, oh, are these 1.9? And you're like, oh, it's not 1.9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really about it on releases. I can't think of anything else.
I think Vanquish is going to be making wheels for the SCX6. I think I saw some product photo somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, I believe. I could be wrong, but I scrolling through Facebook the other day, I saw some kind of new method wheel they were working on.
Oh, that's going to be a hefty price tag. It's probably going to be almost the cost of the real ones.
I know, right? $130 a piece.
Yeah, no shit.
We got patches.
Yeah, that's right. We got patches.
We have patches now.
Those turned out really good.
Yeah, I learned a lot from it. I made the logo was a little bit too detailed given what their machine's capable of, but all things considered, it turned out really, really good. And you can actually see the topographical pattern really nice on them and stuff. So we got lucky. Next time I do them, I mean, I'll have it more simplified now that I kind of know how the process goes. But yeah, I'm super happy with them. They turned out really nice. They're desert tan, if nobody's seen the pictures of them yet. And we had them include the fuzzy side of the Velcro so you can sew them to a coat or a hat or backpack if you don't happen to have Velcro already on your backpack. So we got those, and that kind of leads us into our giveaway if we want to talk about that really quick, unless there's something else you guys want to go over.
No, we'll do the giveaway and then we'll see what questions we have.
Yeah. So I had this idea, and it kind of goes back to like a long time ago when we first started doing the show. I had done a video of like what we pack around in our backpacks and stuff like that, you know, and like had shown what I take with me and everything. Well, over the years, like I've got two backpacks. There's like my trail pack that's like everyday stuff. And then I've got another tactical bag that's just camera stuff. Like there's a gimbal, there's a container of like GoPros, there's all of the stuff from Moment that is different lenses and stuff that works with your camera case or your phone case. And over the years, like I've kind of just collected stuff and figured out like what works, what doesn't, what's convenient to have on the trail, what I take out and leave in the car, you know. So I've kind of got this like collection of stuff that allows me to take, you know, like halfway decent product pictures and stuff like that. Like I've found some different lights. I found a handheld camera rig that has hot shoes and stuff so that you can mount things to it. So anyways, I took all of the things that I really like that I use and kind of curated a backpack that is full of everything that I already have. So we've got this bag, and it's got a handheld rig. It's got a light that has a hot shoe to go on the handheld or a tripod. It's got adjustable temperature and adjustable dim, you know, brightness on it. There's that, a bunch of GoPro mounts. There's a really, really nice selfie stick that converts into a tripod and also has a Bluetooth shutter that's held on with a magnet that you can take off. So it's all just really, really convenient stuff. So what I thought we would do is have a backpack that is just completely decked out with everything, that is like a content creator bag, like everything that you would need to go out on the trail and make awesome videos and have the right lighting and have lighting to be able to use. It's USB powered to, you know, do like bench shots and stuff. So like there's rechargeable battery packs that are in it for charging your stuff on the go on the trail. And I think they're like 23,000 milliamp or something like that. So the lights that we have in this are kind of a miniature studio light, and they're USB powered. And one of those battery packs will run those lights for almost 4 hours. So it's really, really a cool portable mobile setup that you can take with you anywhere on the trail, use at home and everything. So it's, you know, like I said, a content creator bag. So what we want to do for the giveaway portion of this is, the whole idea behind this is like, we want to try and grow our audience base, obviously. And we also would like to figure out a way to help our listeners and other people grow their followers and audience base too. So what I thought we would do is I'll do a post showing everything in the bag and stuff, explaining what everything is, why it's there and everything, just a really good detailed post. And what we want to do for the contest portion of this is I want everybody to, like, all these YouTube guys are probably going to lose their minds because they finally have a place where their posts are welcome to, you know, like and subscribe and everything. So basically you comment all of your social media links, you know, your names, handles, whatever you want to call it. You comment your YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And then everybody does all that. So now it's like, you know, you've got all these comments with everybody's social media accounts and stuff. So hopefully everybody will start checking out each other's stuff and kind of start growing their follower base. And so what we'll do is probably like a random number generator, and it'll pick one of however many comments, and that'll be the winner. One of the things that we would like to have be part of this too And this is completely at the winner's discretion if they want to or not, because they may not be able to commit to it. But we would like to offer a chance to be a correspondent. So if you win the backpack with all the content creating stuff, you have the option of being a correspondent and contributing photos of events that you go to, write-ups on stuff. If this is a chance for you to get involved and be kind of like our street team out in the wild covering stuff in your particular area. And eventually it would be really cool if we had, like 4 to 6 people across the country that live in different areas that go to events and stuff like that and can take pictures, video and stuff and kind of do a little bit of reporting and then submit it. We can share it on all of the podcast platforms that we have for the show. So that's the basic idea, is help us build our follower base. We're going to give you all the tools you need to create awesome content and grow your follower base along with everybody else that enters into it. So everybody finally has a chance to shamelessly plug their YouTube channel and everything else. And I really hope they take advantage of it. So.
Now, there is one minor small detail, and that is if you decide to do this correspondent thing, you may be randomly required to go cover hurricanes live on location.
Yes.
But we'll work that out when it comes up.
Yeah. There'll be a liability waiver for any national disasters that you cover.
I wasn't told about that.
Oh, okay.
Adding more now, I see.
Yeah. So anyways, I thought it would be something fun and everybody gets a chance to share everything and hopefully grow their following a little bit. And everybody at the end of the day gets a chance to see more cool RC stuff, which is why we're all here in the first place.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Sweet.
So yeah, and I guess I should explain like the dollar. It's almost like $300 worth of stuff that we got. So I mean, it's like you're getting a lot of
it's not a joke of a kit. Yeah,
no, it's like almost $300 worth of video stuff and photography stuff. So we'll see. We may add to it. There may be some other brands or friends or sponsors that we have that want to contribute in some way to the giveaway. But yeah, for the time being, that's what it is.
Rad.
So
Sweet.
Yeah, hopefully everybody gets excited about it. I would love to see everybody participate, share the crap out of it. Like when we make the post, please just share it everywhere because it's to your benefit and everybody else's too. Because when we grow, we're able to do more things like the patches, giving away rigs, giving away backpacks, stuff like this. So, I mean, we all kind of help each other here. Everybody benefits from it is the idea.
Sweet.
Silence.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So anyways.
And do we know how much? Yeah, do we know how much longer until you're gonna make the initial post about everything?
I have to make zipper pulls still. I have to just cut paracord and melt the ends and stuff, and then put all the clips on. But I'm going to do our SOR zipper pulls on it, and then it'll have one of our loadout vehicle carriers on it too.
Okay.
I'm kind of up in the air right now. Like our patches are tan, the backpack's black. So I may source some tan paracord and some tan clips and bungees for the loadout carrier on it.
Okay.
So that way it'll all be tan and black, which might look kind of badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just curious so that way that anyone listening can kind of have an idea.
Right.
Look out for the drop.
Yeah. So I probably won't have all this done until next week because this week's pretty full for me. But next week we'll get a post up. You will definitely know about it because we'll have it shared all over the place. Our Instagram post stories, Facebook posts and stories. I'll share it to our personal pages, business stuff, kind of just whatever we have to try and get the word out there. So everybody will definitely know. We're going to let it run for almost a month so that it just has the maximum amount of potential to kind of grow and everybody put their links in and stuff. So, you know, I figured this is one of those things that we wanted to kind of go on for a while so that it ends up being worthwhile in the end for everybody. Longer you go, more people will see it. So that's the idea.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
All right. I can get into questions now, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. We'll do Facebook first. So we have a couple from Chris Trudeau starting us off. So talk to us about this rallycross car you're building. We covered that, I think.
Yep.
Is Jay trading 2 wheels for 4? Yep.
Only if it makes it to the track.
Will we see you at X Games anytime soon?
No. Those days are long behind me. I was actually an alternate for X Games in, I think, 2009, but didn't go. But yeah, that's came and went.
With Vanquish making moves into the affordable RTR market and Red Cat stepping up their game, do you think we'll see Traxxas come out with anything in the distant future?
They'll probably figure out a way to do a suspension lift on their packaging.
Suspension lift.
They're big on that these days.
Yeah.
They're selling lifted 18th scales or a bunch of madmen. It's so funny because, you know, it's always the same thing whenever a new rig's released. Like, I want to see something new. This is a new platform. When are you guys going to release something new? And it's like in Element's case, like a completely new chassis and platform dropped earlier this year. So it's like, well, I mean, everybody's trying, but, you know, there's only,
you know, there is something to be said about, like, there really is just so much you can do.
Well, in Traxxas's case, because it's so funny because people bitch about Axial having the same thing all the time. They bitch about Element. But then you look at Traxxas and that platform hasn't changed since it launched almost 5-6 years ago. Yeah, like, but it hasn't changed. They haven't done anything. And like everybody bitches about Element. It's like, dude, they got a new trans, IFS, like all this new stuff, and people are complaining about it. Yet Traxxas dudes have been running the same exact platform that was released with their very first rigs, which was the Land Rovers.
Yep.
The only change they had was the sport version, which had some of the fancy features omitted, and that was it. So I mean, it's like, if you guys want to be pissed about not having new stuff, maybe try Traxxas before you get upset with anybody else or disappointed, I should say.
Well, it's like there's no surprise. I mean, look at the track record of Traxxas. Okay, the Slash has essentially been the same platform for years. Yeah, they got different models. You were able to get, I think it was like the Pro or something like that, and that came with a paintable body and the Millennium system and some other stuff. And the LCG chassis. But other than that, it's like no different from the normal Slash.
You know, they've probably used up all of their R&D budget. It probably all went to legal.
Yeah.
No new platforms. Jeez. We have people to sue and cease and desist letters to write.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I know. I forgot we have to say T word. We can't even mention it on the show.
T-word.
Yeah.
T-word. Twat.
Adam, you have a foul mouth. You've said the F word. You've said shit. You've said.
Has he?
Yeah, I have.
He dropped an F-bomb earlier.
I did drop an F-bomb earlier. That was pretty bad. I know. I've been pretty good. I've been pretty good. You know, I've been trying to work on that a lot lately. But
sometimes more or less.
Less. When you work with a bunch of construction guys, like, I mean, it's just part of your language.
It is. It gets a little bit raw with
but I'm nowhere near as bad as the foreman for the framing contractor we use. That guy, the F word is the adjective for anything he's talking about.
It's a great word though.
He'll come in and he'll be like, yeah, we just need to put the effing header over here. Just make sure you put those effing screws through it this time so you don't effing let the thing go. It's like every other word, effing. I'm just like, how do you go about your daily life and talking to anybody else outside of work? Like,
do they do it when like you're checking out at the grocery store and
yeah,
like
thanks, man. Have a good
I'll take an effing bag. Make sure you give me my effing receipt before I walk out the effing door.
The like spinning wheel or like the little hourglass icon with computers and stuff. Like whenever like I'm having like some sort of a brain lag issue, that's like the default thing that I start stuttering. I'll be like, effing this and effing, like while I'm trying to like think of what it is I'm trying to say. I'm just basically sitting there idle swearing until something like real words pops into my head.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Happens to the worst of us.
It does. Next question.
Also was sending Trav to Colorado an attempt to complicate the show further. That's pretty funny. Actually, in theory, it'll be easier because this is just what I do now.
That's true.
So
Travis is self-employed now.
I am.
No more sweating working for the man. No more being a cog in the machine. Travis is striking out on his own.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Is this guy like quoting Pink Floyd over here or what?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to sound sophisticated and smart.
I'm patiently waiting for the 9.5 minute guitar solo.
Yeah. I love that deathcore bands are bringing that back. Like there's so many albums lately that have like 7 and 8 minute songs. It's just like, yes.
Yeah, it's about time. I got tired of this 2.5 minute kind of stuff.
Wonderful.
Paul Schulman says, with the new releases from Red Cat, what are your guys' opinion on the brand overall?
Stepping it up.
Well,
I don't know what their plastic quality is like or anything, but I mean, they're making an effort at least now.
I feel like
okay, but here's the thing though. I don't want to be mean. They did this before. They did this before when John from Axial went there, when Jeff Johns went there.
Right.
Remember Jeff Johns first went there. They upped their vehicle platform. Like they started coming out with some cooler rigs, and then all of a sudden they went into like this like 4-year slump of like nothing at all. Yeah.
Just an orange and a blue Scout for 3 years.
The only thing that they had that was really cool wasn't even a crawler. It was the lowrider.
Yeah. Right. I thought with the Gen 8 that was going to be like I just thought like the like entry into the market in general, I thought was like going to be more inspired, because like what they did come out with was really cool for the time. And it was like, oh my, like Red Cat did this. That's crazy. And so then it kind of made, I don't know if like we just got ahead of ourselves, but it was one of those things where it's like, okay, like let's actually see what happens. And I expected them to be more of a major player, but it's like this release they just did, right? Oh, this only exists because the Pro exists.
Yeah.
Right. Like let's just be real.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Pro doesn't happen. That thing doesn't happen at all. So, but it's a bummer because it's like, I would have much rather had, like, I was hoping they would be more like, this comes out of their like competitive involvement and not just, oh, they made something that fits the mold decent enough. Like people don't really complain about them in terms of like the Gen 8 and everything, but you hope to see more after that. And then after that, it's just like, well, all right, let's just see what next major trend shift there is that might be somewhat divisive to the demographic like the Pro was, and capture those people now.
I think they're making a lot more effort than we give them credit for, though, because thinking back to that Gen 8, the original Scout body that they released it to, there was the 2 color options out, like god awful light blue and then orange.
Yeah.
Both of those had window stickers and were fully painted. They didn't have clear windows. The next version that came out was, I believe, their Axe setup that had the hobby wing stuff and the reef servo. And that was a open top rig with a roll cage and interior and seats and stuff. So that was kind of a shift, like becoming more scale detailed and cooler. Then they did a reboot of the first 2 Scout bodies and did clear windows on them now. So, I mean, it's like they're paying attention. Like, people do not like window stickers. That's just how it is. Like, printed window stickers suck and it makes it look like a toy. I would rather have clear. I think almost everybody would rather have clear windows, and maybe you see some of the stuff inside, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I hear what you're saying, but it also
real.
seems like such a minor detail in the big picture when you look at what other progress has been made during that time and just the platforms themselves.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing. I mean, and it's weird from Red Cat's perspective, because I understand, like, it's probably not a big money maker for them, but it's actually probably more than I give them credit for, because Red Cat makes a lot of stuff. Obviously, generic hobby stuff is always going to do well than the subcategories, right? But right. Like, just again, too, not to be mean, but I don't really know what category Red Cat makes, like, even decided, like, even like, debatably the best vehicle in that category. Like, they do have some pretty cool stuff, but there is also just a lot of, like, just generic RC cars sprinkled in between all that. So it's like, it's kind of, I do feel like then you maybe do look at a category like crawling, for example, which is, pretty big in terms of RC, even RC context. Like, you think that's where they would want to spend more time, because that could have been growable.
Huge. Yeah.
They could, I don't think it's crazy to say, like, they could have had the sort of like same level of rallying community that some of these other, other brands have. Element did that in somewhat short time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, I don't know. It's weird. If anything, the cause and effect I kind of look at is like maybe it emboldened Axial, because honestly, I think there's probably not that much correlation, but Axial definitely, after all of this, like, really came out swinging the hardest after Traxxas and Red Cat started to get into the space.
Yeah, an Element. There was something I was going to bring up too when we were talking about the Element releases. One of the things that I saw was that a couple people were bummed out that it doesn't have a clipless body post system like a lot of the other rigs have now. And that's good and bad. Like, if you're planning on keeping the RTR body, like what we were talking about with the Red Cat Ascent, with mounting solutions and stuff, like, it's so specific that you're not going to be able to utilize it on other stuff. And that's the tricky part with the clipless mounting. Really, unless you do like Velcro with the sliders, there is no universal way to try and get a body to stay on, that part's super, super tricky. I mean, like the Axial UMGs were that way. All of their Jeeps are that way. Like, but you can't like throw a cliffhanger body on it and take advantage of those same body mounting options. And I'm not sure that people realize that when they were complaining about the Element releases, because it's like, well, yeah, I get what you're saying. No, ideally body clips suck and it's lame seeing them. However, it sucks worse to buy a car that 99% of people pull the body off and put something else on anyways, after a couple months when it gets trashed, that, then you're stuck with having to figure out how to mount the aftermarket body to it. So, I mean, there is something to be said for the traditional body posts and stuff. And if that's an issue, seeing the posts and the clips, then you're kind of left to like figure out your own solution, really. And there's a lot of options. I mean, there's magnets, there's Velcro and stuff like that. I would much rather have posts on something, maybe later on by a clear body, than have something that isn't going to be compatible with other stuff. So it's kind of double-edged sword there. It's like, yeah, it's cool. At the same time, it's also really inconvenient if you do want to change the body, if there's clipless mounting on it.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, if I needed to summarize it just really quickly, I guess the way that I look at them is just like, they don't wow me anywhere beyond their initial. What's that?
Red Cat as a whole. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, especially, Red Cat as a whole, but even in crawling, like there's nothing about them where I like really look at their stuff and was like, oh, like that's actually really cool. Like the biggest surprise was, again, just them getting into this at all. Right. But I don't see anything that they do that I'm also like, well, I don't like that, like, it's just, I don't know. It's very like, I'm very fair weather about it, I guess.
I would absolutely love to try out the Ascent. It's probably a good truck, honestly. I mean, like in the pictures, they obviously have like the ride height way jacked up, and that's something I'd try and change, because you can see the shocks are like almost completely extended. They're not even, sitting at like 50%, which is where most shocks sit at for normal ride height. But I don't know. I mean, I would absolutely try one. I mean,
how much
it looks like a smart design.
$289.
Yeah.
Oh, it is an RTR. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, Element's $299 for their base model, and it's not, an LCG rig or anything like that. So, I mean, that's pretty cool with the Red Cat, and like Vanquish, their entry level model, the Fordyce is freaking $459. So that's not super budget friendly. Neither is the Axial Base Camp, really, for that matter. I mean, isn't it like 400 and something?
I think so. Maybe right at 400.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, like if it wasn't for Element and Red Cat, your entry level rigs would be no name.
Which I would think, honestly, even then, I think Red Cat, I think maybe that's where Red Cat's real value is, at least right now, is that they, I guess, kind of set themselves up to be a good gateway crawler, especially for something like this, if people want to get kind of into the LCG thing, but don't want to.
That'll be a big selling point.
I think so. So yeah, I mean, if you can do that for like, here's the performance one, and you can do it as an RTR for under $300.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. All right, I'll give them credit for that.
That's awfully nice of you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any more on that?
No, unless Adam has something to say.
No, you guys already all pretty much nailed it. I never, like, way back when, I think, Red Cat was kind of like looked at as like, almost like, I don't want to say this, like I said, everything I always say like sounds rude. Want to be like the, like the toy brand of, or the toy level of the hobby.
Yeah.
But like some of their earlier stuff was very, low budget, like low, like quality.
Everest.
Yeah, like the Everest, like it was kind of like, okay, like, nice try, but and then they have come a long way from those days. So seeing this rig, it definitely looks like a trail performer. I'm just curious about durability.
Yeah, I have no experience with their plastic and metal parts. I have no idea. And the flip side to that too is I also don't really see anything about it either. So either I'm not seeing the right stuff in my feed, or people are having pretty decent luck with things not breaking.
Yeah.
What's funny? Red Cat was actually kind of ahead of the curve with this, because it had that Everest had that BPC LCG chassis way back. Like they were kind of the first ones to ever do this concept before Axial even released the Pro.
Yeah.
Overall, like to summarize everything, like with Red Cat, like I think they're trying, and I think that they're moving in the right direction. especially with an entry level LCG rig for $300. I mean, I'm looking at the base camp and it's $390. Like that's not very budget friendly either. So, I mean, I think they're going to sell a ton of those trucks, especially for the price and having that LCG nomenclature, you know, with the description that'll sell cars for them too.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyhow.
Next one is from going to Instagram now at Small RC. What's
SMOL?
Yeah. What's the cheapest RC truck or vehicle that you've really enjoyed? For instance, before my first 10 scale crawler, I got some $20 rock buggy and had way too much fun with the POS.
Oh, it's an easy one for me. I'll let you guys go first.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because like way back when, like when I got my first, you know, SCX 10 kit, that was only like I want to say like maybe a $200 kit. I think I'm trying to think of what the price was back then. Like, cause it was pretty inexpensive. I mean, back then RTR, like, I mean, I think it was even actually sub 200 because I want to say, I think back then RTRs were like around 220, 240. And, you know, so you got yourself a kit, you know, and at the time I was just getting into the hobby. So I think all my electronics, I had some like $40 servo, a $80 ESC motor combo, used the stock tires. I think I upgraded to the axial Rockstar wheels, I think, instead of, I just went with the black 8-hole instead of the chrome ones that it came with. So, like I said, about a little under 250 for first entry, you know, and that was back when those cars weren't set up to crawl. The battery was in the back, you know.
Yeah, they were just trail rigs, really. I mean,
yeah.
So, but I mean, and you still made it work, and it was still fun. And then, you know, look where you're at now. So, but yeah, I guess that would be what I'd have to say because I never really had anything else like crawler related before that.
Yeah, I guess not, huh? Travis, do you even have an answer for this?
I keep thinking about low C minis. What's your answer?
I was gonna say the RTR deadbolt that I had. It was a SCX10 first version, and it had a 27 turn brush motor in it.
Yeah.
The deadbolt came that way. I'm not sure why, but it hauled ass and like got really, really warm, slow crawling stuff, you know, because of it. But that it was an RTR deadbolt, had plastic links on it. The Axial back then, their first version plastic links were like noodles. I mean, they are not what plastic links are today, like on the Element rigs or anything. But yeah, that deadbolt, I had probably more fun than any built rig that I had at the time. And it was just a stock RTR and it just kicked ass. So much fun.
That is a good answer.
It was fun. Put a lot of miles on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That low C mini and micro stuff was pretty sweet at the time.
Yeah. I was thinking about your Dingo.
Yeah.
That you had.
Dingo was pretty sick.
Thing. Yeah, that was a cool truck.
Yeah, I would say, I guess, yeah, if we want to, the question wasn't about crawlers specifically, but
gotcha.
Regardless, I think that in terms of, I guess, value I got out of it, like the Dingo was pretty good because there was a lot of everything they got put on that too. And then,
yeah, and that was a kit version to start with too. So that was a nice truck.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because I think it was at JNS and it was assembled, but the body wasn't painted or anything like that. And I think that's the one that we bought. And then I painted it gunmetal.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that wasn't a stock color.
Yeah, you had that. And then I had that copper colored
Yeah.
Spawn body on my SCX 10.
That's so funny to think back to now.
Or yeah, those first two. So much fun though. Like there's some times where like I'll get weird moments of deja vu, either seeing something or thinking about something. But like I was sitting here thinking about back then and like how new everything felt to us and how exciting it was. And like, it was just, it had like this whole like new experience, and they were awesome little trucks and they're real and they have lights and all this cool things, and like it was just, nothing has quite felt the same as the excitement that we had way back then, and like the excitement of going to Axial Fest for the first time and stuff like it was just, looking back, like that was just such a new and exciting time for us, and it was just fun, really fun. Not that it isn't now, but I mean, it's different now,
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's a lot of like good little details like that when I think back on it.
Yeah.
Move on to Sack the Ripper, aka Spencer. Seeing the cutthroat sales on RC drag cars, it's clear that the sector RC came and went in a flash. Do you expect, or do you, sorry, do you guys think that that will ever happen to crawlers, and explain your reasoning?
No.
Or sector of RC, sorry.
No,
I don't think so.
So the difference is the crawling has kind of been established, whereas the drag was kind of like an offshoot. Like it had the opportunity to be like crawling, but the problem is, just the way I see it, is you let the competition side / the egos of all the, like you took all the comp crawlers, gave them drag cars, and then stuck them out there, and they all argue and bitch, piss and moan, and that's what you end up with.
Yeah, the hobbyists, the people, are what ruined drag racing.
Well, it's important to understand too that it was like, this was a really simple thing in terms of like, drag racing is not very complicated, right? But it hadn't really been done at a point where it was like really accessible. So like, it has a lot of wow factor if you're like not seeing this before, right?
Yeah.
And especially too, like, because it was so closely related to scale, you had a big influx of people or that too, who are like, yeah, they kind of liked that aspect of it too. But because I just think the nature of that kind of like, that kind of thing, like just drag racing, some cultures are just going to be that way.
Everybody thought that they were on Street Outlaws. That was
that,
it was throwing money around and calling out. I mean, cool, they're having fun, but that's also what ran it into the ground.
This was always going to happen, but it happened a lot faster than I expected.
Yeah.
Because if you really like calendar wise, you look at this is not, I mean, that really blew up kind of at the start of COVID, didn't it?
Yep.
So like, yeah, I mean, it barely got a good, I mean, I know there's still events, but it got barely a good 2.5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it started out scale and cool, and then it turned into what everything RC does, where it gets RC'd to death and it's no longer scale. So now it's this game of carbon chassis and tire prep and stupid looking bodies that are super
well, just because it's like, because it's like, you have to win, right? Like that was the whole thing. Like, because it's just I guess the thing about crawling is that it does have one advantage where it's like, you don't have to go, like there's some people who race who know they may not win, but it's like, they still like racing and stuff like that or whatever like that. But with crawling, like you can just go enjoy it without any structure whatsoever. Right. And so at that point, it is 100% preference, and the community is the same way, where it's not all one or the other. Like there's a lot of people that compete. You see a lot of posts about that, but you see a much larger silent majority too that just doesn't do that kind of stuff. And they have that choice, and they can still engage in the community all the same. You can't really do that with drag racing because like the ornamentation only gets you so far.
Right.
At a certain point, it's like, oh, well, this thing's really hard to drive. And that dude's, gapped me. Well, that's not very fun,
tire
is it?
warmers and all kinds of other shit.
Yeah, but then it's like
2.5 turn motor and 8 scale ESC. And
yeah, and some people get way overboard into it and put all their focus on that. And then some people at that point decide, hey, it's maybe not for me.
You know, like the other thing too is, I mean, you think about it and like Associated jumped pretty hard. They were like the first ones to dive into the drag racing as far as like an OEM manufacturer.
Well, it was so easy.
The original DR10 is completely obsolete now. It's only good for like spec racing, but nobody really wants to spec race. It's just a select few, which honestly, like tight spec racing with the same everything would probably be way more fun than just who's dumped the most money into their rig.
That'd be fun, but it's not sustainable. You won't keep people interested in doing
exactly. That. You know, it's like the purists are going to be stoked on a spec class, but I mean, really, there's that. Then they had their DR10 Pro kit, which that's obsolete, and then now they have the DR10M. But now, you know, I mean, in that was a serious like mid-motor carbon chassis OEM rig, but
that's the can of worms you open immediately then, because now it's just become like your competitive line of racing.
Well, yeah, and then they just shot themselves in the foot because they can't get rid of any of their entry level stuff now. If they can even get rid of what they already have with the DR10Ms, because everybody's probably using Joe Blow's chassis and everything exactly like how it is with crawling.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time too, it is an easy hindsight criticism because it's like, you have to kind of take a stab at it. Like if any company, right, it makes most sense for them because it's the easiest parts translation of anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So like
but the drag slash, does anybody use that? Does anybody use the low C22? Like, I mean,
well, at this point, no, because the only people I think who are left doing it are the purists who are putting a whole other chassis under it anyways.
Right. I haven't seen him super marked down. Rather. Like this was kind of like news to me, you know, with just because I don't follow it, you know, at all. But it was kind of news to me that the prices are being cut on stuff like that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, you know what we should do is maybe I'll reach out to Tyler. We should have Tyler Zavadil on the show. I mean, I talked to him a lot about a lot of different things up at AAC, and he's got some cool ideas for the hobby, and he's got the right mindset, and I back him 100% for what he wants to do. But like anything else, it takes money to do what he wants to do. So I don't want to sound discouraging, but I'm just saying, like, you know, he could use the support from almost everybody, and he definitely can do it. But yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge on what's going on, and he's seen a lot of what's going on, and he's actually like one of like what I call like one of the pioneers of, you know, drag racing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that dude has his like finger on the pulse of that segment of the hobby. Like absolutely.
Yeah, but he also likes to scale stuff too. I mean, he's up here crawling.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, he does everything. So
we should get him on.
Super cool dude. I'll reach out to him probably in like a couple weeks, you know, when we want to do our next episode, and I'll see if we can get him on.
I really like that guy. He's super nice.
Super chill dude.
Yeah.
So
good dude.
And going through some stuff right now, so I'm sure it would help keep his mind off everything.
Yeah.
So
never good to hear.
Yep. Do we want to go on to the next question? Or do we kind of answer that 100%?
Yeah, I don't think there's any more.
Okay.
Looking. Yeah, I think that might be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, cool. Yeah. Anything else you want to hit? It's actually ended up being a pretty long one.
Yeah.
Catch up though.
Only a couple short things. One, because I don't know when this is going to go out. When we're going to get this episode out there for everyone to listen to. If you're in the Northern California area, Elio's little what is it? It's his Scale Challenge West event. Number 5, I believe, is happening at Donner Ski Ranch October 14th.
Rad.
So, yep. So if you're in the area, come on up. Donner's going to be open. It's actually pretty cool. He paid for, or we collectively paid for Donner, to have the event. It's still a free event. But with that cost, they're going to have the bar open, the restaurant open, and obviously Elio and the boys are going up there Friday to cut trail and get everything set up. So Saturday, come on out, start at 9:30 a.m. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. The other thing was Michelle's dad's selling his 6x6 Unimog and his Wraith 19. So I will be posting those on my social media accounts shortly. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So
awesome.
He caught the capper bug. That's why.
That's this weekend?
No. So October 14th. So 2 weekends from now.
Okay, cool. So I've
from when we're recording this episode. Yeah. So we're recording this episode.
Which this will go live on Friday.
Okay.
Cool. And I forgot to mention too with the patches, all of our Patreon subscribers, like please make sure that we have your updated address info so that we can send these out to you.
Word.
Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah. So that was it. I think that's everything. This was another fun episode.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. It was nice to catch up again. It was a good one. Yeah.
And I think that's also what's pretty cool about what we're doing now with the structure. Just kind of like saying, like, checking in throughout the week, like, hey, you want to, is there enough to talk about? You want to do an episode? It's like it allows us to get like into it where we're not like forced to like, okay, we got to put it
that's the part that sucks, is sitting there spinning your wheels like, oh, what do we want to talk about? Yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, good night, everybody. Like it's just kind of how it goes. But no, I mean, this was actually a really good episode.
Yep.
Sweet. Alrighty. Catch you guys later.
See you, everybody.
See ya.